Okay, so it's probably called the Qayamat Ki Raat or the day before Qayamat Ki Raat. Just hours to go before the EVMs are finally opened up, the exit pollsters are out, and the EVM machines now will be put to counting, and we will know who really is winning this battle for national capital. With me, someone who's been with us right through this entire Delhi election journey, founder of Sea Voter, Yashwant Deshmukh, live with us. Yashwantji, always a pleasure to have you with us.
Pleasure, Bhupen.
I was looking at some numbers that you have projected, Yashwantji, and you've given us a good assessment of different metrics. Let me first ask you, before I get into the nitty gritties of this, which of these yardsticks which you have calculated, let's say the male or female ratio, is there any yardstick where you as a psephologist or someone who's seen so many elections where you feel there is still some scope for improvement or some point where you think your own poll perhaps can turn and go wrong?
But it's not about getting right or wrong, Bhupen, because we have given the matrix of who has voted where, which part of society has voted where. So basically, uh, when the election commission gives you a turnout number of 60-61%, there is one way of looking at it, okay, that that across all the society demographics, everybody has voted 61%. It doesn't happen like that, right?
Right.
And traditionally speaking, we have seen many a times that basically bottom of the pyramid, the have-not, they have actually voted out in bigger numbers. Their turnout aspect is better than the middle class number. So the BJP has to only worry about that. If the turnout of the middle class is good, then BJP is just home and dry. I mean, even in our numbers, purely from the male and female composition of the voter, there are 54% male and 46% females in Delhi electorate. Going by that parameter, BJP should be ideally leading by at least 3 to 4 points in Delhi.
But let me just hold you on that thought, and I'm only quoting your numbers, Yashwantji. I was looking at two specific numbers, sir. In the occupation group, your numbers suggest that students and unemployed category, the BJP 45.3, the Aam Aadmi Party 41.0. Now, I would assume, I would assume that this is in the unemployed section. It's a first-time voter, perhaps. So you're looking at a far younger drift. If you look at the income group also, 3,000 to 6,000 rupees, you are saying BJP is at 44.3, the AAP is at 40.4, whereas less than 3,000, the AAP is at 47.8 and the BJP is at 40.9. How do we read these numbers? Do we say that in that lowest end, of the bottom end of the economic pyramid that you're talking about, the BJP successfully has managed to weed away some voter away from the Aam Aadmi Party?
Some of them, and certainly the male voters in that section, particularly in the middle class and the lower middle class as well. But as far as the low income group as a block, I mean, so say if you will put together people who are earning less than 10,000 rupees a month as a block or 15,000 rupees a month, that is where the in block Aam Aadmi Party's lead is significant over the BJP. As the income group goes up, the BJP's lead is started building up. The middle class, upper middle class, upper income group. There is a very, very, very secular trend of the higher the income, higher the education, the higher the BJP vote share. Now the problem is that higher the income, higher the education does not necessarily always mean higher the turnout. That's the matrix which I would be always as a researcher worried about or looking into. How does it work? Male and female voters, for example, our data shows clearly BJP is a massive lead among the males, but Aam Aadmi Party has a significant lead in the females. Now, if the female turnout is more than the male turnout, then Aam Aadmi Party has a good case at hand. But if it is at par with the male turnout, then just by virtue of males being bigger in number in the electorate, 50, in every 100 voters, there are 54 males and 46 females. BJP stands to gain from that. So these are the things. It's the relative turnout which matters a lot.
Okay, can you just break it down, Yashwantji? I think this is an important point that you're making, where you're saying that the female vote, the vote turnout of female versus male is what we should be looking out for tomorrow when the counting actually takes place. Absolutely. Are you suggesting that, let's say, out of this 100 figure that you're looking at, if there are 50 females and let's say 50 males, the Aam Aadmi Party would require how many out of these 50 females for you to think that the Aam Aadmi Party is home and dry, and similarly with the BJP?
Well, they need to get at least 35 out of that 50. I mean, if you look at it, or 30 out of that 50. In order to overcome what the BJP lead has been there in the male voters. What I'm simply trying to say here is that there is a very clear class divide in Delhi right now that we see it. Low income versus high income, low education versus high education, the middle class versus the lower income group, and similarly, the on one block, Jhuggi, Jhopdi, Dalit Muslims in one block, and the upper caste and the OBC on the other block. If you OBC, there is still a good fight, but upper caste voters, BJP has a one-way traffic kind of a lead. Same goes with the occupation. You look into the labor class, or the housewives. Aam Aadmi Party has a lead among the housewives and the labor, but BJP has a clear lead among the private service sector and the government service, by the way. Huge one-sided lead, which this was the voter which actually started the narrative and the turn in favor of the Aam Aadmi Party in 15 and 20. So that has turned away. So there is a very genuine, very distinct class divide in this city right now. And this is very much understandable from the perspective of governance and the policies and the promises that have been made. Majority of the freebies are basically aimed at saying that, okay, please do not fear that if BJP comes to power, all these things will be stopped. The same BJP which was campaigning against the Revdi culture was actually forced to come around and say, we are not only going to continue with the Revdis, we will give you a better Revdi. We will enhance it, we will execute it better. So yes, when you look into these things, you need to keep in mind that the bottom of the society, their turnout vis-a-vis the middle class turnout. If the middle class turnout is good, BJP is going to sweep this election. Absolutely.
Okay. One more figure which stands out in your analysis, Yashwantji, is the scheduled caste voter that you're talking about, where the Aam Aadmi Party has a lead over the BJP of almost 9%, 10%, 46.9 to Aam Aadmi Party, 37.9 to the BJP. The Congress is at 6.9. Is there any yardstick that you have in comparison to 2020, at least as far as the previous assembly election? Does this number of 46.9% support for amongst the scheduled caste, does it show a drop in support for the Aam Aadmi Party?
It's a massive drop. You see, look at the data anyway. There is one way of comparing the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP in the triangle that way. And one is to compare 5 and 10 years back. There is a massive almost drop of 10 points across all the categories. Make no mistake about it. Aam Aadmi Party has lost vote to the tune of almost 10% across all categories. So make no mistake. But having said that, in certain sections of society, their lead is still there. And that lead is important for them. If their vote comes out in larger number, that is where they will still have a chance that, okay, we still can save this, we still can manage this.
What about the Muslim vote, Yashwantji? I saw that there was some social media commentary where you were being quoted as having stated somewhere, I don't know whether that's true or not, that one in every three.
I don't know where it came from. No, not at all. Please be very clear. No, 1/3 of the Muslims have not voted for the BJP. The numbers we have given, it's only about 11% or some 12%, something like that,
Yes.
So it is in double digits. That's a significant number. And among the double-digit numbers, there are significant number of Shias and Pasmanda Muslims as well, who have voted for the BJP. The point which I have been mentioning, that the opposition charges the Muslims who vote for the BJP as the Sarkari Muslims, which I take a strong exception to. Any Muslim voting for BJP is not a Sarkari Muslim, just the way any Hindu voting for opposition is not a Sarkari Hindu either.
Sure.
But this number of Muslims voting for the BJP in the last 10 or 12 years has been significantly going up with each election round. That's this important point for us to understand. 10 years back, they used to be only 2 out of 100, 3 out of 100. That is now, in Delhi also, it's 10 and 11, 12 out of 100. That's the important thing.
And is there a drop, Yashwantji, even in this category, like you pointing out that in all social categories, social basis, there is a drop in support of the Aam Aadmi Party. When you say 18.7% of the Muslims are voting for the Congress Party, did this chunk of, let's say, 18.7 of the Muslim community, did it vote with the Aam Aadmi Party? And is the Aam Aadmi Party losing support here also?
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, as I said, that Aam Aadmi Party is looking at a drop of vote across all there is a secular drop across all the sections. It's not that there's only one section. A
Hmm.
certain, like for example, in Muslims, they were almost polling around 70% 5 years back.
Hmm.
Now that has dropped to approx 50%. So that's a drop, where the Congress has taken the booty, certain voters have gone to the BJP as well.
Hmm.
What the point which one needs to understand about the Muslim voting pattern is that there are many states in India, Bhupen, now, where BJP is consistently polling in double digit among the Muslim voters.
Hmm.
In certain states, even 25 to 30% voting. Gujarat, almost 30% of the Muslims have voted for BJP.
Hmm.
All the post poll and all the exit polls have found that. So basically, there is a secular jump of Muslims which every election cycle which are voting for the BJP. Yes,
Hmm.
overwhelming number of them still vote out for opposition parties, those who are in order to defeat the BJP candidate.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that's the only option that they have. That doesn't mean that's the only thing that they are doing.
Hmm.
There are patterns and among the subgroups of Muslims as well.
Okay.
That's the point which I wanted to make. I don't know why people have misread that point.
All right. Good that you clarified, because I was also quite surprised as to where this number was coming from. The other interesting thing, Yashwantji, which I think will be debated extensively tomorrow, is when you ask people when did you decide which party you will vote for, whether they had decided in the last 1 week or they had decided today itself. Help me understand this metric in the whether you decided to vote today. You say 47.4% people have decided today under the Aam Aadmi Party category, whereas under the BJP category, 37.6%.
No,
But
it's
when,
you have to read it the other way around. Say, for example, 10% of the people said that they voted they decided on the voting day.
hmm,
And out of those 10%, if you treat that as a block, every 100 voters who decided on the last day,
hmm,
47 went to AAP and 37 went to BJP, it has to be read like that.
hmm,
One significant factor was that there was a big chunk, almost around 40%, who said that we had decided way back,
yeah,
and
always decided.
always decided, and that chunk has bigger number of BJP voters into that.
Hmm,
So what does that tell us? That tells us that there is a significant BJP latent voter in Delhi which used to swing in favor of Aam Aadmi Party in the assembly election, and that refused to go back to Aam Aadmi Party this time. When they voted for Modi in Lok Sabha election, they refused to go back. And that refusal to go back is largely to do with among the middle class, with the Shishmal controversy, with the all corruption scam controversies going around them.
hmm,
And then in the last 72 hours, you remember when we talked last time, we were quoting our tracker data,
yes.
right? And tracker publication stopped because of the EC embargo 3 days after prior to the poll. And that number had changed among the middle class males miraculously because of the budget, union budget. I should not say miraculously because of the impact of the budget. I mean, that was taken for granted that income taxation thing in slabs and everything were done aiming at middle class, and that delivered. That delivered a lot. I mean, to think of it this way, there was a latent vote middle class which was upset with the BJP saying, हमें क्या मिला?
Hmm,
You are giving revenue and freebies to everybody. You are saying आम आदमी पार्टी की स्कीम हम खत्म नहीं करेंगे. दे तो हम ही रहे ना, हमारा टैक्स से पैसा जा रहा है ना, तो हमें क्या मिला?
hmm,
And
hmm,
they were unhappy with Arvind Kejriwal for precisely the same scheme. So BJP was in a kind of catch-22 situation कि
right.
हम रेवड़ी देंगे तो हमारा मिडिल क्लास वोटर नाराज होता है, रेवड़ी नहीं देंगे तो ये लोअर इनकम ग्रुप हमको कभी वोट नहीं देगा. So they came with a revdi first, and then in the budget they said that okay, middle class, hold your breath, hold it on. You
Hmm,
are being exempted till 12 lakhs, and that is where it changed. And then middle class said okay, हमको भी कुछ मिला. And once they got the sense कि हमको भी कुछ मिला, that is where I think things started swinging in the last 72 hours prior to the election among the middle class bloc for the BJP. So that was a very, very smart and calculated move, I would
Is
say.
there any election, Yashwantji, you look at elections so closely, is there any election which comes to your mind, whereas you're saying that an election may change so dramatically, may swing so decisively in favor of party over a 72-hour time period?
Not really. I don't. I mean, when we talk about the late swings in the election campaign period,
Hmm,
we have been talking about 4 to 12 weeks period. You know, 5 साल ये चला, but last के 3 महीने में, last के 1 महीने में ऐसा ये हुआ. Forget about 4 weeks and 12 weeks. This was a matter of 4 days. So it's not even a week. A week is a long time, as they say. Now, if the BJP manages to win this election tomorrow, I think we will have to figure out something different. That week is, we forget week. Even 3 days or even a 72 hours are a long time in politics from if you look at it. So I don't remember. To answer your question, I don't remember that kind of acute late swing. No, I can't really think of anyone, because when 98, thinking about 98 election, the BJP, which was largely sitting pretty for 4.5 years, when the tide started turning on the onion prices, that also took 12 weeks.
Right.
And particularly in the last 4 weeks, the middle class housewives said enough is enough. Pyaz itna महंगा हो गया, and they, even though Sushma ji was made the chief minister in the last thing to counter the female vibes, female voter vibes, but even she could not handle that once the female mind was, made up.
All right, Yashwant. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens tomorrow. But one final question before I let you go. What would be your final estimation of vote percentages? I know you're shying away from giving a seat projection, and
No,
maybe you can
I'm
tell
not
our
shying
viewers.
away. It's not a question of shying away. It's just a question of explaining and understanding what is going around. You see, if the turnout of male and female remains the same, I mean, if there is no higher turnout of the female voter than the male voter, then I think BJP stands a very good chance of having a lead of 3-4 points over the Aam Aadmi Party, looking at the numbers that everybody has and that we have as well. But if there is a significant jump in the female turnout, then I would say that it's a keener contest in Aam Aadmi Party. So we will know tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow. It's a very good election, very good exercise, very good contest on cards. And if BJP manages to win this one, they will have to do a RP of all the middle class. Middle class will say to them that, okay, देखो कुछ करोगे हमारे लिए तो हम भी तुम्हारे लिए कुछ करेंगे. And if Aam Aadmi Party manages to win this election, they should just go and सब दिल्ली की औरतों के पैर धो धो के पीने चाहिए उन्हें, अगर वो चुनाव जीत जाते हैं तो.
Okay. All right, Yashwant. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you again
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.